Welcome to Sensor Noise, a podcast about photography. I'm Andrew, joined as always by Arthur. How's it going?
Yellow. It's going just fine.
We should dive into the news, I guess.
I guess so. It's that time.
This first one, Cinestill, has announced CS Negative Plus Convert Tools, a free set of tools that integrate into Adobe Creative Cloud apps that promise to deliver true-to-film color with fast results straight out of the camera.
Interesting.
So this is basically, I guess, if Cinestill did Negative Lab Pro, which is the typical. That's one of the big like camera scanning plugins for Lightroom.
Right. But
basically,
it's like very expensive, right?
Ish. I mean, it's $100.
Okay,
it's not terrible.
Yeah, Cinestill, this is free.
It's free.
And it looks like
free $99.
You can purchase. You can give them a donation.
You can give them money. Yes.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I guess, I don't camera scan, so I don't have a good frame of reference here, but a free option for this is welcome because it's kind of tough to get those, I guess. And you can do it without a plugin in Photoshop or Lightroom, but it, the plugins certainly make it much easier.
I mean, isn't it? It's effectively presets, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, that's all you have to do is there's more corrections, but it's just inverting the colors to turn the negative into the film.
Yeah,
into the picture.
But there's all sorts of adjustments that you can make, So yeah.
So what it says also here at the bottom of this article, Cinestill says it will be releasing its next generation hardware that is built specifically for this software. So it sounds like they're going to have additional hardware coming soon that's supposed to be used with this as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because Cinestill mostly, at least at the moment, they resell other people's camera scanning equipment.
Right.
They do make their own little scanning light, their little light box.
Yeah.
But that's not that's just like a white labeled LED panel, basically. Right. So I'm curious if they have their own sort of, it's basically like frames or an advancer or whatever to,
I mean, that'd be cool if they did, because I would buy that. That would be great for me.
Yeah. Because a lot of this stuff, a lot of the camera scanning equipment is not cheap.
Right.
For one reason or another. So, yeah, I'd be curious. Where's their camera scanning kits? Yeah, you have, because you need like a copy stand, and then you need a light, and then you need like a film holder to put over top of the light and hold your film properly, and it's a whole thing. It can be very complicated.
Right.
So
this is funny. I just downloaded it. It's a 400 megabyte download, which might make you think that this is some like massive tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's 400. It's 400 kilobytes of
actual
presets for Lightroom, and then they included 460 megabytes of sample DNGs for you to play with.
Okay, interesting.
So they've got negative scans in here that you can use to test.
Yeah,
and there's 460 megabytes of those.
Not sure they needed to do that.
I don't think so. But hey, I'm installing it. It seems pretty good to me.
Next, we have Seven Artisans has released a new manual focus lens. This is a 10 millimeter f3.5 lens. It costs $99 of your dollars.
Huh.
And you know what? For like a super ultra wide full and around lens, that's probably the right price. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Could you buy a very nice, like, autofocus lens for this kind of thing? Sure. How often are you going to use it?
Yeah.
like 10 millimeter is a novelty focal length, not a dependable one that you always go to. So
it seems fun, I guess, for 35. It could be good for like video, I guess, for vlogging maybe.
Yeah,
if the focus is close enough.
All right. 108 degree field of view. Designed for Sony E, Fujifilm X, Nikon Z, and Micro Four Thirds. So
sure,
all the big ones except for the big one.
Imagining this on a medium format.
Yeah. Also, last week we talked about was it a Viltrox or something like that? 85 millimeter f1.4. Sirui has come out with their own 85 millimeter f1.4.
Is this the same thing again?
Probably, yes.
It's got to be right. It's got to be the same one.
I mean, yeah. Right.
Maybe
it's got to be pretty similar. I don't know. Yeah. There's got to be some kind of shared, DNA here, but yeah.
There has to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to tell, though. Well, no. Okay, they say that the Viltrox one is heavier. So maybe it's not the same.
The Viltrox is heavier and also provides a more vintage aesthetic to its bokeh.
So I guess it is different then.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And this comes in more mounts, it seems.
Yeah, it does. And Petapixel says it's basically like a G Master.
Yeah.
That's their decision on it, which is, hey, for
cranking out lenses like this quickly, I don't know. That's weird.
It's like, here's my
/ why can't the actual camera companies crank lenses out like this?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't. It really seems like everybody else is slacking here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they don't care. That's my only thought.
Yeah. Fujifilm caused a bit of a kerfluffle, I guess. So they updated their website a couple weeks ago. And when they did so, they re-added to their website Xperia Extra and Fujicolor Pro 400H. And people were like, oh, are they bringing these films back? And there was a couple days where things seemed hopeful, but no, they're not, it turns out. They're saying that it was updated in error. What is interesting is that when they did update their website, they uploaded like the spec sheets as PDFs of these films, and they had June 2025 dates on them. So,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's so strange. Why would they update the dates if it was a mistake?
I don't know. Well, and it's not like a PDF is something that like you can like necessarily automate an update to, I guess, like someone had to do something to cause that date to change. Right. So
yeah, that's very odd.
Yeah. All I have to say is, come on.
Yeah. Just simply make them. Yeah. Not on this list, but related Fujifilm news. It turns out that the X Pro 3 has credits.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
If you take 100,000 photos with an X Pro 3, it will roll credits on the
roll credits, screen. And then you can start New Game Plus with all your experience and
yeah, exactly.
You get to keep all your items, and yeah.
That's so
that's funny, and I think it's sort of funny that we didn't know this until now, because only now has someone actually taken 100,000 frames on an X Pro 3.
I'm sure somebody has taken 100,000 frames before, but honestly, how often are you looking at the little tiny back screen?
Yeah.
I wonder if they just blew past it and like didn't know.
Or they're like, what is it doing? That's weird.
Yeah,
Stop
why
that.
is it doing that?
Cut that out.
But yeah, somebody got a picture of it. And yeah, it plays credits. I wish it had music. So it should have a little song.
Other Fuji news. You know how lots of digital cameras are getting film advance levers these days?
Mm-hmm.
A Chinese X106 owner has added a cosmetic film advance lever to his camera.
Good.
And
Good
that
for
went
him.
That went viral. The add-on Film Advance lever does not actually do anything aside from giving the user something to fidget with in between shots.
Well, I mean, what more do you want, really?
Yeah. Weird.
You want a fidget toy. That's what everybody wants.
Nikon released new firmware for the Z8, and they screwed it up a little bit. Whoopsie daisy. It turned out if you updated your Z8 to firmware 3.0 with a third-party lens attached, it could maybe bork that lens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bit of an issue.
How? Because typically they separate the lens firmware from the camera firmware.
Yeah. Tamarin says, we confirmed that our interchangeable lenses for mirrorless cameras do not function properly when used with the Nikon Z8 version 3.0. We are currently conducting verification. We'll provide additional updates. They didn't specify how it affects lens functionality, but Nikon Z8 owners have reported autofocus issues, including inconsistent performance and in some cases autofocus not working at all. So this was Tamarin that reported this, but then Nikon updated their support website and said, hey, if you don't have any, or if you have any third-party lens attached, don't update the camera firmware with it attached.
That's weird. So if you take the lens off and then update the firmware, it's fine?
Apparently, yes. Do not update the camera firmware with lenses other than the Z-mount, Nikkor lenses, or mount adapters other than the FTZ2 FTZ attached. Failure to observe this precaution could result in camera malfunction. And then Viltrox also came out and said, hey, take your Viltrox lens off. Yeah. I don't know. Weird.
Interesting.
I mean, there is obviously some data exchange that happens between the lens and the camera, right? So something must be getting screwed up there.
Yeah,
but it's
so
weird.
Strange.
I don't know. I'm curious as an embedded software engineer. I'm curious what exact data transfer is happening. Are they using
I'm really curious
or something like what are you doing? Are you?
I'm really curious which side is broken now. Right? Does it mess up the camera or does it mess up the lens?
It's interesting because it says that some folks have reported that turning off the focus limiter on the Z8 can restore full functionality with the Tamarin lenses, but that's just a couple of users who have reported that. So
that's so weird. Did we talk about this firmware, by the way, at the
no, the Z8 firmware? No,
because I don't remember seeing this one.
Yeah,
it seems like they're adding a couple of things. One is pixel shift, high resolution shooting,
and
then focus shift as well. It's like stacking, I guess. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Makes me wonder why only the Z8 has this and not the Z9. I'd like to know what's up with that. Why are they different? I don't know.
Who knows?
I want the I want the focus stacking. So what's interesting is it's saying you can combine them. So you can combine focus stacking and pixel shift. So you can do here and you can combine exposure bracketing as well. So it's saying you can do 32 pictures to combine into a pixel shift. So that gives you 180 megapixel image. And then you do 3 different pixel shift images at each at different exposures. And then you combine those so you get one 180 megapixel true HDR image.
Right, and you can fit 8 of those raw on an SD card. Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. I really hope surely they'll bring it to the Z9.
It's for those who are, asking, why aren't my RAWs bigger? I need them to be just absolutely huge.
Yeah. I like moving more of this stuff in body, right? Because you could always do this with Photoshop.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier if you can just do it in the body of the camera.
Well, you just, instead of doing it in the body, you just you have a little thing like the iPhone panorama mode where it just tells you to move the camera.
Well, in this case,
it's like, oh, you're moving too fast. Hold on.
They don't even have
to, right? Click. Well, right, yes, because they can manipulate the sensor,
right?
But
that's the change with these. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I guess don't do it if you have a third-party lens,
or at least take it off before you do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of upscaled images, OM system. Everybody's favorite redheaded stepchild. They're considering AI upscaling as a solution to low resolution sensors.
That's not a solution.
No, it's not. So what happened is
not a solution. Come on.
What happened is OM system was like, oh, micro four thirds going to be the big thing, and then it wasn't. Right. And now, but they're kind of stuck with it. I guess.
Guys,
and instead of attempting to change, they're just like, what if we add AI based image upscaling technology? What if we do that?
Come on, guys.
Yeah. They note that Canon did this in the R5 Mark II and R1 last year, and it was met with a tepid response.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. Does anyone use it?
Yeah.
Right. I'm imagining they don't.
Mm-hmm. The top comment here just says, hey, why not just generate the bird I want with the background I specify, that I don't have to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Another comment. Okay, or hear me out, build high resolution sensors.
Yeah.
You don't even have to build them. You can buy them. They exist already. You could just buy them from Sony and put them in your cameras. The problem is then you have to pick a different lens mount.
I'm going to say something controversial. I don't think 20 megapixels is that low. I think 20 megapixels is fine.
20 or 20? Yeah. Yeah. No.
Right. The OM1 Mark II, I think, is 20 megapixels or something.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's fine. They should have a 40 plus one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that for most, like, you don't need it for most people. You just don't. Yeah. And I think the 20 is fine. My problem is more, they're going to stick this in the camera and there's going to be no way to, well, I don't know. I worry that there'll be no way to bypass it.
Yeah, it'll just be on by default. Yeah,
because you can do this now. If you want AI upscaling, you can throw it into Lightroom and have it upscale all your pictures if you want.
Yeah,
like if that's really what you want it to do. But I don't think that is what most.
Yeah, or you put it into like OpenAI or ChatGPT and you say, generate the rest of the picture, and then it doesn't do that and does something else entirely. But yeah. Well, you sent me that video of someone using the generative AI. What was it, like a cat or something that they were? It was like a wedding photo. There was like a small animal in the frame.
A total diversion. Horrendous failures of Photoshop and its ability to do generative fill.
They lasso tooled this this cat and then did like a generative fill, and instead of putting anything normal there, it gave the groom hands for feet.
Yeah, so there's two examples of this that I found. One is she's trying to remove the videographer from the back of a wedding picture.
Yeah.
And what does it put in here?
That's something you have to do, in the moment. You have to just tell them to get out of frame.
Yeah, so it generates some kind of eldritch horror man to replace the man instead of...
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and then, it gives...
Well, actually what it's doing is it's revealing reality.
It's the They Live glasses.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, this has been my complaint, trying to use the new generative fill overall, is that it's worse than content-aware fill most of the time.
Yeah.
It seems.
It's kind of amusing how
the old content-aware fill that we've had since CS3,
mm-hmm.
it seems to be more reliable. Or I guess it's more predictable. You know what it's going to do. Whereas with this, it promises to be able to do anything, and then it can't.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the story of AI, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, really. The thing that bothers me the most is that you can't, you can instruct it, right? There's a way to give it a prompt to tell it what to remove.
Mm-hmm.
And it still doesn't seem to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
That bothers me a lot.
They're bad listeners.
I just...
Yeah.
Why have they made this the default? Just put back. Just let me set the default to the old one and then leave it alone, you know?
Yeah. Well, speaking of eldritch horrors, H&M, a famously very well respected and ethical clothing company.
That's right. That's what I've heard about them.
They have started rolling out what they call digital twins, effectively AI generated clones of models. So they have basically a bunch of quote unquote photos in this article that were actually generated from a machine learning AI model that has been fed real photos of the models. And I guess they're going to try and use this to sell their clothes, but I don't get it because I want to see what the clothes actually look like.
Yeah, not what the model thinks the clothes might look like.
Yeah. Also, as a side note, that isn't what a digital twin is. Digital twin is a specific term, and it basically means like an example of a digital twin is like the CAD representation of a device or something. Like it's a digital model of an actual object that you would use in simulation or something like that. It's not, I trained an AI model on some photos of a, actual model. Because that's
right.
It's not how it works. This isn't, it's not how any of this works. What's interesting is, so you have, great, you have H&M Chief Creative Officer saying, it's not a question of man versus machine. I think it's man and machine. What the machine can do is basically amplify human creativity. And I don't know about that, but it can probably amplify the number of buttons on a shirt pretty easily.
This smacks of, do you remember a few years ago, there was like a Levi's thing? Mm-hmm. Where they were going to use AI generated models to quote increase diversity.
Right. Yeah. Instead of hiring actual models, you just
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and then what's really bizarre is an actual photographer for H&M defended the controversial text, said it's not something I see as going to replace photography in any sense. I think it's going to be more of an extra tool, and I don't know how you could possibly think that. Because what is the point of using these? It's to be able to make images faster, quicker, and more cheaply than actually photographing someone and paying the model and paying the photographer and paying, like a makeup artist and a stylist and whoever else. Instead, you just put it into, like, obviously they're trying to save money by getting rid of your job. But this guy's like, obviously the leopards won't be eating my face. So it's fine. Yeah.
This is so obnoxious. You wouldn't do it if you weren't trying to just not pay photographers.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to do this otherwise.
Petapixel says, what is frightening about the images is just how difficult it is to tell the images are AI. And I would say, yes, that's true, but like obviously they're not going to post the bad ones, Like these are, I'm sure, very carefully curated, and I'd love to see what they discarded and didn't post. Because I'm sure it was some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, there's some here that are like, they're even, I mean, if you click on the header image, so there's a AI lady standing in a crosswalk. But if you look at the back at the people, that doesn't look right,
Yeah.
Like, that's not. And then there's, also standing on, I don't know, a lakeshore or whatever, and there's a town behind, and, it's like you can pick out the details that,
But it's like,
I guess that's.
The images are passable. If you saw these while you were scrolling through Instagram, you probably wouldn't think about it. But the point is, but also, this doesn't show me what the clothes look like.
Yeah, because you can't. How are you going to get you can't get it to generate an image that looks exactly like the item of clothing.
No,
because
you can't.
You have to describe it in text, and what you can't. You're like, it's a pair of jean shorts that is slightly distressed in coloration.
Well, no, to be fair, they can feed it, images of the clothing.
Yeah,
I'm sure they can do that. But all that does in the end is convert those images into a text description and then, use that to overlay
Right.
Yeah. Come on.
This is yeah.
Well, I will continue to not buy clothes from H&M because they don't make them unless you're a size small. So this doesn't really affect me, but it just makes me mad because more people are going to do this now.
I just think it's funny that they got an actual photographer to be like, no, my job secure, it'll be fine. It's
yeah. Like, how did they? Come on.
You're either an idiot or you know what you're doing and you're just getting paid to say that,
Yeah.
Weird, bizarre stuff. Speaking of bizarre stuff, have you been to Costco lately?
Yes.
Did you happen to see the Minoltas there?
Oh no. No, I didn't happen to see the Minoltas. I usually avoid the Costco the electronics section because there's the guys from AT&T trying to sell me a phone most of the time.
Well, you should consider it, yeah, so Minolta, asterisk, not that one, has appeared at Costco, selling their really cheap cameras. And I thought this article was interesting because it's on DP Review, how the Minolta name just reappeared at Costco. So Minolta, the name, has been licensed by Elite Brands, which also licenses the venerable Bell and Howell brand.
Great.
And then what they've actually been doing is, it appears that they are basically white labeling cameras from a company called Shenzhen Soda Digital Technology Company, which has all the hallmarks of a company that's just cranking out the worst quality junk you can imagine.
I mean, Elite Brands, come on now.
Yeah. Well, I'm also talking about Shenzhen Soda, because if you go to their website and you go to their About page, it has a picture of their building, which is very clearly a render. So I totally believe that that's their actual headquarters, and it's not just...
They definitely exist. Don't worry about it.
Also, if you go to their website, you go to products. So you've got sections for digital image, digital audio, healthcare, home appliance. Digital image has the following subcategories: pocket camera, kids camera, camcorder, compact DSRL camera. Now, none of these are actually DSLRs, but they are designed to look like they are. But of course, none of them have interchangeable lenses or indeed sensors of any real, worth. I think it's funny. It's just about the aesthetics, right? Down to like that they don't even know how to spell DSLR correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of these cameras, like they have one here that's called the DC202L, and it is very clearly made to look like an X100 series camera. Like it is, just a appearance copy. It's like that. What was that company that made a basically a copy of the smart car for the Shuanglong Noble?
Yes.
Yeah. Where it was just, it looked like a smart car, but it very much wasn't underneath. And indeed, the reviews of these Minolta cameras seem not great.
I mean, they look like they're just like a cheap webcam in a camera body, which, I mean, that is
pretty much
probably what they are, to be honest.
In 2024, amateurphotographer.com reviewed the Sonida DC202, which is the Minolta MND 70, and they described it as the worst camera I've ever used. Poor image quality for both stills and video, terrible viewfinder and dim screen, slow startup time, sluggish autofocus, and huge shutter lag. Cheap build with molded on fake control dials. Okay. I didn't even realize
the dials aren't even real. That's amazing.
Yeah. Also, one of the novelties with these cameras is that they have put like a selfie cam on the back of them.
Yeah.
Which is very amusing to me. But yeah, these are...
Come on, you guys.
I guess good for elite brands, I guess, but don't buy these.
Good for elite brands. No, don't encourage them. It's not good for elite brands.
No, I'm just saying, like, congrats on getting your product into Costco. Usually Costco's a little pickier about the quality of stuff that they sell, but I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway. Anyway, it was a holiday weekend, and I went to an IndyCar race on Sunday.
Oh,
and most importantly, I did not get sunburned.
Hey, just want
to get that out of the way.
Good job, because I would have.
Yes, but turns out photographing race cars challenging, very challenging. Yeah, well, they're going by real fast.
I've heard this. I've heard this about race cars.
Yeah. So I learned a lot, and I'll probably have to go back next year, with my lessons learned now. One is that the lens that I brought, which was my long lens, my 180 to 600, too long.
Okay.
Too long. I thought I was going to be way back, but actually, because this is an IndyCar race at a road course in the middle of farmland in Ohio, you can get pretty much right up next to the track, almost.
Sure, yeah.
So I was pretty close there. I sent a photo of the track security was very tight, by which I mean the fence between me and the actual track was like a cattle gate with a chain that the lock was hanging off of the chain, and then the chain was just like dropped onto like a nail on the post, and then it had come off, so the gate was just sort of waving back and forth in the wind. I could have just walked right through and gotten right up to the edge of the track if I wanted to, but I didn't want to get yelled at. So very tight security. No, but you can get right up pretty close. And my 180, even at 180, that was like it was just tough because it was too close to get. Even when I was shooting in burst mode, which you have to do, because they're going by that fast, I would get maybe 2 or 3 frames with the car in them. I have a lot of photos of just the track. And I did have to crank up. I had to shoot at like continuous high, and in some cases all the way up to the 30 frames per second mode, just to get frames where the entire car was in the image and it was not being cut off.
Jeez.
And I did notice, there were a lot of folks walking around with cameras that were walking around with much more sensibly, sensible zooms, not super zooms, but just like your normal, I don't know, maybe out to 300 millimeter zoom. So instead of 600. So I probably actually need to get one of those because I don't have one that's like an intermediate zoom. And also my other zoom lens, which is my 35 to 150, is kind of too big because it's an f2. Is really good for taking portraits, but like not good for. I don't need the f2 aperture in the bright sun,
right? Right.
So I can go with a smaller lens because even with the shutter speed cranked up to like 1/8,000th of a second, I was still at like f7 maybe.
Yeah.
So. And then, I could have cranked the ISO up even more to mitigate that. So,
how did the focus do though? Like the
focus was a challenge. So firstly, the vehicle, autofocus detection, it doesn't work quickly enough for, the cars going across the frame. And also importantly, this is a track where you can camp next to the actual racetrack, and so there were lots of vehicles in the background, and it wanted to grab those instead.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What I ended up doing is I set it to autofocus continuous, and then I set the autofocus mode to basically just this single spot.
Yeah.
Or so I did either just the single spot or the single spot, and then like a tiny number of spots around that, and I put that spot directly on where the car would be on the track. And then just what I learned to do was basically 2-eye shooting, where you have one eye down the viewfinder, and then instead of closing my other eye, kept it open so that I could see the cars coming in my peripheral vision, and then press the shutter button at the right time, and snap as it goes across the frame. And the autofocus there, I think, did pretty well in that it is able to shift the focus frame to frame very quickly in that regard, doing the whatever contrasted phase detection. So that did okay. I did try to manual focus and just leave it locked, but the problem there is that without an actual car to focus on, I was focusing on the track itself, and that was a little too far out. So I was trying to dial it in, and it was just difficult to nail that. So I kind of left it.
What do the professionals do?
I don't know.
How do they handle it? I wonder how they do that.
I think mostly they weren't trying to take photos the way that I was trying to, because so where I was, the corner that I posted up at, I was like, I wonder if this is actually a good photo taking spot, because there was hardly anyone else there. But then about halfway through the race, all the professional photographers showed up. They were clearly like walking around the track, and they showed up to that area. But because they are able to go right up to the edge of the track, where the barrier is, and I can't, they're able to more effectively shoot like down the track.
Yeah,
and get the car.
That's probably the trick, right?
Yeah, you get the car coming in your direction or going away from your direction.
Yeah,
and I was not positioned to really get a good shot like that, so I could really only get it going across the frame.
Gotcha. It's too bad, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I also did try to do some of the shots where you have a fairly low shutter speed and you try to track the car so that you get like the car is stationary, but the background is all blurred. And that is just impossible with an IndyCar.
I have tried to do that with planes too, and have had no luck with it.
They get the IndyCars, they just go too fast. And I was even at a corner where they had to. It was like a 90-degree corner where they have to slow down, but they're still flying around that corner.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I can't move that quickly. I did, I think, get a couple of decent results with some of the initial procession where they drive the drivers around the track, and they did that on like Honda S2000, so just regular road cars that were not going flat out. They were going kind of leisurely. I think I did get decent results there, but I did between firing off in continuous mode or continuous 30 frames per second mode, I shot probably, my card started out saying it had space for 12,000 photos, and it ended saying it had space for 3,000 photos.
Jeez.
So. I have not started calling them yet because that doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds awful.
But I imagine that 90% of them are going to be blurry and or photos of just the empty track.
Probably. Here now you got a great opportunity to try aftershoot again.
Well, yeah. No, I can train an AI model to recognize the track, and then I can do do content aware, or
just generate the ones that you want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it was interesting, yeah. But I think number one, I should have brought a smaller focal length lens.
Yeah, sure.
I wasn't sure if I was going to use the monopod, but I did actually end up using it, and that was good too, because my zoom lens that I did bring was way too heavy to handhold for the whole time anyway. So I see also, this is honestly a situation where I understand like an APS-C camera with a zoom lens, because it's small, light, and you don't really need that much optical quality,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There were a lot of folks with like Canon, EOS Rs, or even older cameras, and then there were some folks that just had like super zooms kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
And then I did see, a lot of the pros too did not have very long zooms, or if they did, they had a camera with a really long zoom, and then they had a camera with a more normal zoom as well. So, but I wonder
if the other trick is just wider lenses and then crop.
I think probably that's probably a good strategy too. I don't know. That was just, I didn't know, not having been there before, just how close I imagined that I would not be able to get that close to the track. I was surprised that I was only like 15 feet from the edge of the track. It was kind of wild.
Well, I feel like for something like this, the risk is entirely yours.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
You're putting yourself at risk.
Right.
It's not like the track. It's not like a sport, right? You're certainly not going to injure the players.
Right. Yeah.
The players are going to injure you.
Maybe I need to get like the Z24-200 That's an F4 to 6.3. Like, that's fine, I think.
Maybe, but the focus might not be fast enough on that one.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh, we'll see. Obviously, what I need to get is the 28 to 135 power zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was interesting was there was a there wasn't a crash in front of me, but one of the cars ran out of gas right in front of me and pulled off, because where I was on a corner, there was a dirt area, and there was an ambulance station there, and then there was also a tow truck, and there was a break in the guardrail so that the tow truck could get through. So the driver just pulled and stopped there in the dirt, and then I got to watch and take pictures on my phone because of how close it was, and video of them doing the recovery operation where they hoist the whole car up. And then it was kind of funny because we're in front of this gate, and they're like, you guys got to back up and make room. And they just drove through the parking area, basically in the infield, back to the pit lane with the car. It was kind of wild. I had to move my chair and all that, but yeah. Was interesting. There were a lot of folks there with cameras, and there were a lot of folks there with their phones out and whatever. And then there was also a guy who had like a GoPro style camera, and he was as they're like crawling along with the tow truck, he's like trying to get video of the car up in the air and kind of getting underneath it too, which I thought was interesting, because there's always aero stuff going on underneath. And
right.
That's one of the more secretive parts, just because you can't see it very well compared to the rest of the car. So I was like, curious. But yeah, it was interesting. Also very loud. I will probably post the video that I took, which you can't in the video, obviously, because it's video, you can't quite get a sense for just how loud it was. But yeah, very, very loud. And my mom afterwards was like, did you hear did you see that Newgarden, who's one of the more popular drivers, like went out in the one of the first couple laps? And I was like, no, I had no idea what was going on, because not only am I posted up at one corner of this big track, I can't, like, when the cars are going, you can't hear the PA system or anything, so there's just no way to really know what's going on. The best indication that I had was that I was standing right next to a marshal station where they had folks who were waving the flags for that section of the course. And that's the only indication I had that it's like, oh, it's a full course yellow right now, and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Nice. Oh, it sounds like fun. Will you go back?
Probably. I did. The only thing is I did want to throw things at the OpenAI car.
Oh, they had one of those?
They had an OpenAI car. That one was the car. I think that was the car driven by Alex Palou, who was the current leader on the points table for IndyCar. But he did a real big oopsie towards the end, and ended up losing several positions, so he didn't win. Yep. But yeah. Oh yeah, this is from 6 days ago. OpenAI expands partnership with Chip Ganassi Racing, becomes primary partner on number 10, driven by Alex Palou at Mid-Ohio. So that livery debuted there.
Ugh.
Great. Yeah. It wasn't good either, because just all black with OpenAI all over it. And it's just like,
well, of course, because, it being exciting would require them to have.
Well, but they couldn't AI generate a better, a better livery.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got to remember, it's trained by Silicon Valley people, so the only racing they know is F1.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe it doesn't know about Indy cars, and it's just like...
That's true.
It has no idea how to do it.
It was funny, too, because there was this is the Honda... sorry, let me say its full name. The Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, sponsored by the all-new Honda Passport.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so there was a big Honda booth there, or, exhibit, and they had a lot of their cars there. What was amusing is they had the Red Bull RB18, I think it was, F1 car at their booth.
Okay.
I took a picture of it, and I was like, I was told this was an IndyCar race. Yeah. It would be incredibly funny to have Formula One race at Mid-Ohio, because it is not a, like, prestigious racetrack in the sense that F1 cares about, Yeah. It is literally in the middle of cornfields in mid-Ohio. Like the road that it is off of is paved, but is not painted with any lines. That's how, like, in the sticks it is.
Right.
You're just driving along. You drive up I-71, you get off the highway, and then you drive like 15 more miles through these small farm towns and whatever. And then just over the crest of a hill, you see Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And you're like, wait a minute. The only indication I had that it was there was just like the huge spread of people parked in RVs and whatnot. And then the traffic getting in as well. But yeah. It's weird to me. I guess there just are a lot of these race courses that are just kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is a little weird to me. But
yeah, that is kind of odd.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know. I guess it's good that I had photography to do there, because I don't know that I would have enjoyed it otherwise. Because you don't. Because it's not an oval, and it has a grandstand, but it doesn't give you a whole view of the whole track because it's a road course. Like, you don't really necessarily know what's going on.
Right.
And you're just sitting there, and then like every minute or two you just get and then you're waiting like another couple minutes, and then you get and that would not keep my attention, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
If you get good results, you should share them.
Yeah, we'll see.
I went to a concert to test. Well, I went to a concert because it's fun, but I wanted to see about concert cameras.
Oh yes, you went to okay. Look, I'm afraid to ask this because it gets brought up a lot in places we mutually are. What is a Vulfpeck? I do not know. What is this?
Jazz funk band.
Okay.
It's sort of a super group.
I wouldn't have guessed jazz funk for some reason.
It's a super group of like a bunch of very talented jazz funk musicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have guessed alternative, but I think that's because Vulfpeck snaps to a punk in my brain.
Sure, yeah, I get that. No, it's a bunch of guys that a lot of them have their own like solo stuff for other bands.
This is not a jam band type thing,
No,
though.
No, it's not a jam band. They have actual songs. Yeah, but they're very good. It was a good concert at Red Rocks in Colorado, which, by the way, fantastic venue. If you get a chance to go,
they call it Red Rocks on account of the rocks are red.
That's correct.
Yeah. They also at the IndyCar race they had a Honda Goldwing that was gold. Like
it's kind of on the nose, don't you think?
Yeah, not gold like gold plated or whatever, just gold colored. And I was like, they call it a Goldwing on account of its gold color.
On account of its gold.
Yeah. If it wasn't gold, they'd have to call it something else. They'd have to call it like Red Wing or something, you know.
So one thing to beware of with Red Rocks, though, is it's like a 900-foot climb to get from the parking lot to the seats. Just be aware of that.
They don't want to put in like an escalator or a ski lift or something.
I mean, you can walk or you can wait for the shuttle. But the shuttle doesn't take you all the way up. It only takes you to the stage level, and then you have to go.
And then you have to walk even further up the
the amphitheater to get to your seat. So, also it's Colorado, so it's at about 6,000 feet.
Right, so you can't breathe anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So just beware of that if you go. Or the alternative I've been told is you can get there like the instant that doors open. And then you can get to the one small parking lot that's at the top of the amphitheater. And then you don't have to do that.
Is that? Oh, yes. I see that. I'm looking at this on Google Maps, and I see that there is a small parking lot that appears to be at the same level.
It's at the top.
Top circle lot.
If you go to that one, if you're lucky enough to get in there, then
that looks to have maybe 20 spaces.
Yeah, it's very small. So good luck, but you're not getting in there, and you're going to go to one of the lower ones and then walk like a mile.
I think we should just demolish more of this mountain to make it pave a parking lot. I don't see the issue with that. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. It's a fantastic venue. I'm completely like all concerts should be outdoors pilled. Yeah.
come to the Midwest.
Yeah, I know this is my West Coast attitude speaking, but yeah, it's.
I guess you just don't want us to have concerts between like October and May.
That's right. To be fair, Red Rocks only has concerts between like late May.
I guess they would get
October.
snow. Yeah,
yeah, they have the same thing. As of this concert, they said this is the 84th concert this year already.
Wow.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Other weird things about Red Rocks. The official food of the Red Rocks venue is the Vienna Chicago style hot dog.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, but they're like the official food sponsor, the Vienna hot dogs.
That would make sense at Navy Pier, but not at, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Then again, I don't
understand.
I don't know what like a Colorado famous food item is. I don't know that they have one. But
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's apparently the Chicago dog is their official food. And then so do you guys have these in Ohio where after a show or after a sports game there's guys with hot dog carts?
No, I don't think I've ever experienced that. No.
In California, at least, this wasn't a thing in Boston either, but out here, after a sports game, after a concert, after like anything where there's a lot of people, there's just guys that stand outside on the street with a cart that's basically like one of those plastic tool carts from Home Depot with a gas griddle on the top. And they cook, it's always the same. It's hot dogs wrapped in bacon, and then they have grilled onions and peppers. It's always just those things.
That is strange.
And there'll be like 50 of these guys.
Jeez.
Selling you hot dogs. And now here's the thing. It's late. It's like 11 p.m. It's midnight. You come out of the stadium. You're standing in line trying to get out. You just stood in line at the merch table for an hour. And then there's a guy with grilled onions and peppers and a hot dog for like $3.
Yeah.
You're going to get the damn hot dog.
Yeah.
It's good. Now, Red Rocks doesn't have that, but they have Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay.
At the end of every concert, at the exits, they have official Chick-fil-A people selling Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
That interesting.
It's very odd. The food situation, the venue is great. The food situation is baffling at best.
I don't know that I've ever had a venue where like you leave and there is like food specifically for that purpose.
Yeah.
That's unusual to me.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm used to there being like a number of concessions, you know, at the venue.
Right.
Like, listen, you go to Great American Ballpark, you're going to get you some Skyline cheese conies.
Of course.
So
here it's organic, right? You know, the hot dog guys are organic, right? They're local people that show up and do that. But they went full corporate with it, and it's literally Chick-fil-A. Though it may be one of the only places in the country where Chick-fil-A is available on Sundays.
Interesting.
Because it's after every concert, whether it's on Sunday or not. So, anyway, what I've determined is that the 5X camera on the new Pro iPhones is good enough for concerts.
I found it was good enough for a lot of the photos I was trying to take, too, that were, you know, mid-ranged. So,
because my biggest complaints with like I tried the Sony before, it just, for what it was, it sucked. It was pretty bad. But this,
I don't think it's good enough to justify the price.
No, definitely not good enough for the price, because it's over $1,000, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But the pictures I took, I mean, they're better than the Sony ones. I tell you that.
Yeah.
And the video, of course, turned out great. But with 5X, we are up kind of at the top of the amphitheater, so kind of as far as you could get. And I could zoom right in with the 5X and still, you know, see what was going on. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it worked pretty well. And now I'm just not going to bother like bringing another camera. I'm just going to use this thing. And even at night, like even in the dark, it did well.
Right.
I will say you have to manually set the exposure because it tends to overexpose, it seems. And it's hard with all the like stage lighting and stuff.
Yeah, I imagine
it does tend
help.
to overexpose, and if you dial it down a little bit, you get much better results.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, just bring your iPhone if you like to take concert photos. Just bring your iPhone with a 5X, and it'll do what you need.
Good to know.
And finally, an update on Monitor Watch.
Oh,
I got a new Google alert the other day from the Asus Corporation to tell me that new details have been released about the monitor that I want.
Okay, yeah.
All of the details are here, except for the critical one, which is the price and when can I buy it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. I've got everything except for that.
Listen, they're trying to build excitement, and if they tell you that it's going to cost $3,000, that will temper your.
I don't even care if it costs $3,000. That's fine because it's still less than the Apple one. Like it's. I think it's going to be priced. It's going to be between. It's going to be less than the Apple one and probably less than the stupid, like overly expensive Dell one. That's my guess. So probably like $1,500 to $2,000.
I did watch a review of the available 5K monitors out there these days, and the Asus one is nice. There's a BenQ one which is actually kind of more expensive than the Studio Display now, thanks to tariffs. But then there's this one from a company called Kuycon, Kuycon.
Kuycon.
The G27X or G27P.
Oh, I see.
They have two different versions.
Perfect.
They're made to look very much like the Studio Display.
Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah.
And apparently they're pretty good, especially when it comes to like brightness comparatively and color accuracy. But they're still quite expensive. This is the thing. All the 5K monitors are still quite expensive. They need to get cheaper.
They're expensive, but they're still quite a bit less than Apple's offering.
But they're still too expensive because a 4K monitor these days is pretty cheap, and 5K monitors are still way too expensive.
Now, the one thing I did want to highlight from this ProArt display, it has two features that I want. One is auto brightness, which sounds great. So it's got a ambient light sensor to do auto brightness. Fantastic. They're touting that it works with the brightness keys on your computer, on your Mac, which is nice as well. But more importantly, they have an M model P3 color preset. So they're including in the box a color profile that's supposed to match your MacBook Pro display.
Interesting.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, it comes calibrated and everything, but like having one that's already supposed to match your MacBook screen is great, I think.
Yeah. See, here's what I'm talking about. The Dell S2725QS 27-inch 4K monitor, $240.
Yeah, I know.
Now, this is not a monitor that has any features. It has speakers. That's it. It doesn't. I don't think it even has like USB ports. But that is. Oh no, it does have USB. Does it? Wait, hang on.
I mean, a USB 2 hub is like $3. So
right. I was gonna say like I don't need that. I have a dock thing already. No, it doesn't. It literally just has DisplayPort, HDMI, and a second HDMI.
Yeah,
that's all you get. But do you know how quickly I would buy so many of these if they were 5K and they were even like $300? But no. Instead, all the 5K monitors are up in the like $900 range for whatever. Oh, wait, hang on. Crypto discount available. Hello.
Oh, boy. Now we're cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Bizarre. Worth noting this Kuycon as well. They have a version that's made to look like the, I guess the Pro display with the perforations on it,
and then they've also sure looks like the Pro. Sure looks like the Apple website too.
Yeah, they've also adopted the stand as extra policy as well. So I'll just continue to wait because eventually we'll get something cheap. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. We won't get something cheap for 6K, but that's okay. I'm expecting to pay more. I just don't want to pay $7,000 for Apple's display. Especially now that it's what? It's 6 years old now? 7 years old?
It's not new. Yeah. Pro Display XDR came out in 2019.
So yeah, six years old.
What's funny though is like it did come out in 2019, but it's still pretty much state of the art.
Yeah, there is no equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, anyway. So yeah. Stay tuned for
eventually
more monitor watches. I might have results from my calling next time that I can actually talk through. We'll see.
The annoying thing about this monitor is like all of the details that we get are like, I talked to somebody at Asus at Computex and they said, I don't know, probably Q3 or whatever. Like that's all the details that we get. Yeah. Nothing is concrete. It's all just like, I asked this random guy.
There's a lot of that's like, I talked to someone on a show floor and they said maybe Q3 and probably $2,000.
Right.
It's like,
nobody,
none of this means anything. Yeah.
It's obnoxious. So that's all we know. But no.
Nice. Cool. It's got front buttons.
It does. It has front buttons and it has a Thunderbolt hub in it.
One does note that manufacturers tend to have discarded buttons on the front lately in favor of buttons on the bottom, or even worse, some kind of joystick thing on the back.
Stop with the stupid joystick.
Don't like that.
You know, the Alienware has the stupid joystick on the bottom. I hate it.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep bumping it and then accidentally switching inputs.
What's annoying to me, too, is that the power button is a separate button from that one, because I spent a while trying to find the power button for that Alienware monitor, and then I was like, it's this one over here. On
mine, it's not separate.
Oh, okay.
So on the 34-inch 4K, there's only the one button.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's so dumb.
I guess it's just like, I don't know. This is a trend in general, right? The reduction of buttons in favor of lots of menus or other nonsense. And it's like, no, I just want a button that does one thing. And I want that to be, I don't want to have to hold all this knowledge in my head of where do I have one button. How do I get it to do what I need it to do? Just give me one, like a synthesizer of old, give me one button per function. That's what I want.
Yep. So, we're going to have to talk about Apple's liquid glass at some point. We don't have to talk about it now. We're going to have to talk about that. That it's all the same design philosophy, and it drives me nuts.